Hello, I'm Adam and welcome to Module 1, Part 2. This is still about your career, Module 1, and we're now going to look at key ideas to consider when you're talking about your career. So we're here in the module career. We're on Part 2, key ideas to consider. And the key ideas we're going to look at are the following. Firstly, winning is different than not losing. Secondly, your skills are no longer interesting. Thirdly, you have to remove doubts that they have before you can create interest. The fourth idea is you are the hero of your career. Talk about how to do that. The fifth one is the past is dead. Everything is about the future. And the sixth one we're going to look at in this video is motivation is the key. So winning is different than not losing. The first, the biggest, and the most important idea is the following. In a job interview process, it depends on the job. You either need to win this job or you can just not lose to get the job offer. Okay, and these are two very different ideas. And what is the difference here? Well, the question is can you be defensive or do you need to be brave in the interview? Okay, and how to tell the difference? Well, how courageous do you need your answers to be? It depends on how competitive is the interview process. So I'll give you two examples here. Are you a brain surgeon with a very unique skill? Well, in this particular case, you don't need to be very aggressive about getting the interview or winning the interview process. You present your skills, they look at what you can do and they say, yes, we need your skills and we don't have much other choice. So you've got the job. At the other extreme, there are 1,000 recent graduates trying to get this job in a big firm as a consultant or something like that. In that case, you need to win and perform your best in order to get the job offer. Okay? And how does that play out in your answers? Well, think about this. Who just needs to not lose the interview? Well, basically, you are very unique, like the doctor case. Or the manager is desperate and is just looking for the minimum. A human body that doesn't create more problems than they solve. Okay? So for example, if you want to get a job in some fast food chains, they're not looking for you to be spectacular in the interview. They just want to make sure you're not going to create more problems than you solve. Okay? That is who doesn't need to lose the interview. Everyone else needs to win the interview. Okay, what does that mean? So, unless you have a very unique skill or experience or qualification, etc., then you will have competition. There'll be other people wanting to do this job, wanting to get this job offer. This means that the job is not for you to lose, but for you to win. So a lot of people go to the interview and they don't try to do anything special. They get their answers from Google. They just want to survive, not make a bad impression, be nice and smile, and they'll get the job. That's not the case now. If there were 25 job positions, that's possibly true. But there's often a couple of job positions. And so in order to get that job position, you can't do what everyone else is doing. So getting these safe, common answers from Google, etc., are very defensive. They are about not losing, about not doing and making anything special. And this is the big difference here. Okay, in your whole approach now, you need to be go a bit more aggressive. I don't mean aggressive in the sense of attacking anyone, but just mean in the sense that I need to win. I need to think a bit differently. Okay, I can't be defensive. So to win, you can't hide. To win, you need to stand out. and saying that you are a fast learner, saying that you are good with people, saying that you are a hard worker or flexible. I mean, who isn't these things? Who doesn't have these skills nowadays? And to win, you are going to need to find not just better than average answers, but the best answers. Okay, the best answers. So where are the best answers? Well, obviously, they're not going to be on this video, really. I'm going to give you some ideas to get the best answers, but there's no way I can tell you what they are, okay? And that's good news for you, because no one else is going to find them. You just deliver work, and you'll have the best answers. And where are they? Well, they're in the head of the interviewer. The interviewer, you say some things, and the interviewer is going to want to give you the job. And this is what this whole course is about. You need to see the job from the line manager's perspective. That's the whole point of this course, okay? So, winning is different than not losing. Okay, great. The next thing is interesting. Your skills are no longer interesting, okay? And what do I mean by that? So let's have a look at the interview process. Maybe you send your CV through LinkedIn or something. There's some AI filters that pick it up. They read it. They decide if they should invest the time of the HR department. The HR department, now a human looks at your CV. Fantastic. They have a little list of all the skills they're looking for. The line manager has told them. They tick the boxes. They think you should go on the next step. Maybe if they're really focused on your skills, they'll give you a tech interview for programmers or some other jobs, tech interviews. And then finally, if you've done all these steps, the line manager will receive your CV. Okay? The key interview now with the line manager. Possibly afterwards, there's a management team interview. So the line manager gets your CV. What happens next? Well, this is what they're looking for. So in terms of the minimum objectives for the line manager, there are two minimal objectives. One is the skills fit and one is the culture fit. Now, once you've done all those steps and the line manager sees your CV, and with their experience, they know instantly if you have the skills for the job and possibly they've tested you, they're no longer interested in your skills, really. This is not what they're looking for now. Technically, you probably can do the job. They're quite happy about your skills. It now goes on to the other minimal objective there in the middle. Not the skills fit, but the culture fit. The interview becomes about the culture. But the culture between you and the company. Can you work together? Let me just briefly tell you what else is on this page here. At the top here, I've got optimal objectives. These are your objectives, not necessarily of the line manager. A company hero is an individual in a company who makes a positive impact in the whole company. So maybe you've seen that finance director, everyone knows her name. You've got the marketing director, everyone knows his name. These people are making a massive positive impact on the whole company. Maybe you're at that stage. Everyone else, though, the objective for you is to be a potential job hero. This means that you're trying to make a positive impact or present yourself able to make a positive impact on everyone you work with. Everyone who works around you. That includes your line manager. That's your objective in the interview. It's not to present your skills. That's not the objective now. You want to do that and you want to show that you have the culture to work in their company. Underneath, a couple of points. So they have your CV. They know your skills fit. So they're looking at culture fit. And culture fit has two questions here. Are you one of us? So are you part of our tribe? That's both professionally and in terms of the way we work, okay? And a good idea here for everyone, all of you learning English, is do a Google search for glossary of terms. So this is glossary of marketing terms, glossary of air steward terms, and you get lots of vocabulary there that you should be using in your interview. The reason for that is if you use the same language as the line manager, you're in the tribe. You automatically can communicate faster. Okay. The second culture element here is, can I manage you? The culture fit questions we're going to come back to later. Okay. For now, we're talking about your career. So your skills are no longer interesting now. Okay. They're interested in something else. Next key idea, number 3, you have to remove their doubts before you can create interest. Okay, what does this mean? So why is this interview happening? Okay, what is the interviewer thinking? What are the big questions they are thinking about? Okay, well, the interviewers may be thinking these questions. Can I manage and work with you? What do you want exactly? Why are you here? Okay, will you stay? If I give you the job, will you stay? Or will I have to do this whole interview process again in 3 months? Can you handle the tough times? When things get difficult or boring or complicated, are you going to stay? Do you even like this work? That's what they're thinking about. These are the doubts they have about you. Okay, and before you can sell yourself, you need to remove these doubts they have. Otherwise, if you're doubtful, they're not going to go forward and get excited about you, which is what your objective is. You cannot tell them how wonderful you are while they are still doubting you. And your best way to combat these initial doubts, what is that? Well, the most concrete thing you have on offer is your career story. And that includes your career interests and your motivation. That is how to remove their doubts. Okay. So, going to point number 4, key idea number 4. You are the hero of your career. What does that mean? Well, let's think about how to talk about your career. Okay. So, in your career path, it could be defined by a specific job or a profession. So you do all these steps in this profession. Fine. Or it could be grouped by a common element, e.g. an area of business or a style of business or a focus of the business. And I'll explain in a minute what they are. Or we could focus on the person, that's you, and describe it in terms of your motivation. So that'd be you as the hero. So we've got 5 possible ways to talk about your career. Well, if we look at this style here, so you could talk about a specific job and say, I've always been fascinated by the law. Okay. You could talk about an area of business. Oh, I love the capacity of marketing. You could talk about a style of business. I think online gaming is my passion. Or a focus of business. I'm motivated to help people who do this. Okay. The problem here, while these are good, they don't tell us much about what you want to do. Because your career is yours, remember. These are kind of external elements. They can be really connected to what you want to do personally, but they're also bigger ideas as well. So one option then, if you really want to include your personal motivation within these areas, you want to tell your career as a story, and all stories include a hero, and this is you. You are the hero of your career. Now, when you think about a story and you're going to, so how you're going forward, don't panic, by the way, don't panic now. I'll explain how this is possible. You need various things. So a hero has motivation. So all stories include the hero's motivation. Something is moving you forward. Also in your career story, in the film of your career, you, the hero, are doing the actions. You're not being passive. Things aren't happening to you. You are driving your career forward. And in a good film and a good story, there are logical reasons why the hero did these actions. Okay? So if your CV is presented as a kind of mix of, oh, well, this happened and this happened, you're not being much of a hero in your career. So, important elements in your career story. Are you making the decisions? Are you at least in control of your career direction. So as you go up in your career and the manager is talking to you, does that manager feel that you've at least got control of yourself? You want to take responsibility in this company, but you don't really show responsibility for your own career? That's not a great look, as they say. So can you manage your career? Are you the hero of your career? Okay. Some extra elements when you're telling your career story, which again, we're going to cover in a bit more detail anyway, so don't panic now. Now, there are things like pull or push factor decisions, okay? Let me give you an example about this. So I live in Italy. Now, I could say why I live in Italy because the weather in England is very bad. So that's a push factor. Or I could say the weather in Italy is fantastic. That's a pull factor, okay? This is really, really important. If you go on a date with someone and they say, why do you want to go out with me? And you say, well, the last person I dated was horrible. That's not a great reason. If you say you are the funniest, you are the most interesting person, that's a great reason. That's a pull reason to make this move. Okay. Also, think about this. In your career story, are you going to bring energy to the company? If you're motivated in the career to be doing this job, you're going to bring energy. You're going to be happy to be doing this job. Okay? If you don't have that career energy, if you don't know what you're doing, how are you going to bring energy to this job? So is your career uncertainty going to drain energy from the team? So we've all worked with these people, they're in the job, they're not happy, everyone is brought down, everyone loses energy. And obviously a manager wants to avoid that. So career concept 2, how to talk about your career steps. So we're not going to do too much about this, but I think it's interesting to visualize 3 types of steps that are happening. There's a direct step. So maybe you did a course and the next step after that was this. So law has various direct steps, medicine the same, maybe even architecture. A lot of direct steps you do in your career. The step was clear and obvious. There's another type where you're going along a path and you reach a point where you can either do in-house marketing or agency marketing, for example. Or you go along and you want to decide, well, you either teach in primary schools or secondary schools. It's a common choice, and that might need to be explaining in your career why you did that, okay, as the hero. Finally, there are jump steps. So the person sees the CV, you're going forward maybe, hopefully, not always though, and the step is kind of unexpected. Well, that's okay. Now that is especially easier to explain if the story is about you. So maybe your jump in your career is not obvious, but it could be obvious if you explain why you are going forward. Okay? And this is something to think about when you're telling your story. So let's go on to the past is dead. Okay? So in these career step questions, there is one fundamental idea. When you do each of these steps, including steps going into the future, the question is this: why did you want to do this job? Or for now, why do you want this job? Okay? That's the single career thing. And in the past, you can say the choice was to bring me nearer to my main career interest. Okay? And what brings you closer could be all kinds of things like learning, types of experience, new type of organization, new type of industry, a new role, a new responsibility. Okay, so we're going to come to what career interest might be. But when you do a jump in your steps, you can explain it in terms of your career interest, especially if it's not obvious to the person you're talking to. So an important side note. It is okay to talk about past jobs and say the best thing you learned from the job was something you didn't like. Okay, so I was really happy to find a job in the motor industry, and I learned a lot of things. But I also learned that I didn't want to work for an industry that was such heavy polluters, which contributed to me leaving. Okay, what's the problem? You're learning as you go on. Hopefully, of course, as long as the next company aren't heavy polluters as well. So going on to the past is dead. How to describe your past work, and then I'll explain what I mean by the past is dead. Okay, so here is an example of there's one job, but we've got two descriptions. And we're going to describe the same office job in two different ways. One of these descriptions is for someone who wants to get a job in marketing. One of them is for someone who wants to get a job in consultancy. And remember, the job is the same. The job is the same. So they did the same original job, what that means. So office junior. So I then applied to work at Acme Business as an office junior. My responsibilities were to help various senior members of staff with any work that I could do to help. And here the description diverges. I was interested to get the job because I saw it as a way to learn as much as I could about how businesses work and how companies make change and improve efficiency. It was also a great opportunity to learn about listening to managers' needs and completing the work they requested to their specifications. Same job, different description. I was interested to get the job because I felt I needed the experience of witnessing how senior managers think about the departments they run. Selling business to business without any real-world knowledge seemed to be a bad idea. And I learned a lot about how businesses function in reality and how they view the sales process as a buyer. The person has taken the job and has chosen which elements of it are relevant to the job they're applying for. When you are asked in an interview about your past jobs, they are not on a fact-finding mission about your past. They are interested in your future. Specifically, how well are you prepared to do the job they are offering? So this is what I mean now about the past is dead. It's not that interesting, the past itself, but some of it will be because it's relevant to the future. So if you're not talking about the future in the interview, you're probably making a mistake. Unless they specifically ask for some reason. Observation 2. Now, some people might think that this way of describing your job is a little deceptive, but it isn't. These are not lies, by the way. I'm not saying to you need to lie. It's just that given the limited time in an interview and the limited attention we have, you're advised to focus on the most relevant aspects of all the information you have available. That's all you're doing, okay? You're framing what's true that might be relevant and interesting to them, okay? Otherwise, you're expecting the interviewer to make all the calculations how that job you did might possibly be relevant to the job they're offering. This is your responsibility, okay? Remember, having empathy with the interviewer, okay? Observation 3 about this. Some people might feel uncomfortable focusing on only smaller aspects of the job. Okay, so we all want to say how great important we were and talk about things. But the key here, the choices you make in deciding what aspects of the job might be interesting to the interviewers tells them an awful lot about how much you know about the job they are offering. Okay? They would appreciate this insight into your knowledge. So that in effect, by choosing some parts of the job, you're also communicating to them what you know about the job that they are offering. And that's really important, okay? That's really, really important. Okay, so now we're going to the 6th idea, okay? Motivation is the key. Career concept 4. Your driving force is key. Okay, this is fundamental. Remember, an interviewer is full of doubts and worries. Can I manage and work with you? What do you want? Why are you here? Will you stay? Can you handle the tough times? Do you even like this work? And if you have the right motivation, my doubts as an interviewer will disappear. And we can go on to the next stage by seeing how good you could be. Okay? I'm going to give you a famous example of the power of motivation. What happens when someone is interviewed to become a medical student at university? What happens? Well, at a certain point in the interview, they'll probably say, so when did you want to become a doctor? And they want to hear, ideally, well, when I was 7, when I was 8, when I was 10, when I was 11, I decided I want to be a doctor. And why is that so powerful? It's because they know when this person, this student, is doing organic chemistry in the second year and is having a very hard time, they have no choice but to continue. They know that when this junior doctor starts to do 100 hours in a hospital to learn things, they're not going to give up. They can't give up. They're so motivated to do it. Okay? That's the power of motivation. But of course, I don't have that type of motivation. Okay, that's fair enough, okay? That's why I talk about career interest. And so in the next video, we talk about how to define that career interest. It doesn't need to be a complete vocation. Great if you have one, okay? But here we're talking about something that's honest and about what is interesting to you about this career. Okay? See you in part 3, where we actually write down the key messages for your career. Okay. Thanks, guys. Good luck, everyone.